Greetings and salutations. And Jesus said, "For God so loved the world that he gave his only begotten Son, that whosoever believeth in him should not perish, but have everlasting life."
You're glitching.
I'm glitching.
Well, ladies and gentlemen, this is part two. This is part two with Eden. Um, I am happy to have her here. We are going to be talking a little bit, I guess, about 10, 11, and 12. Eden, I did not go into 11 because there are certain things about 11 I cannot tell the audience with certainty that it's a particular kingdom. Like I could tell with Babylon, Medo Persia, Greece, Rome. All I know that it's a kingdom of the north, a kingdom of the south. But there are certain things about 11 I pointed out to the audience because of its wording. Verse 33 of 11 jumped out to me because, well, maybe we should go up to 32. So 11:32 says in Daniel 11:32, and ladies and gentlemen, please like, share, subscribe, leave comments. I keep saying leave comments because we want to provide truthful information for you. And if you don't ask questions, close mouth don't get fed. So please ask questions. All right. So it says, and such as do wickedly against the covenant shall corrupt by flatteries, but the people that do know their God shall be strong and do exploits. And then it continues, and it says, and they that understand among the people shall instruct many, yet they shall fall by the sword, and by the flame, and by captivity, and by spoil many days. Now when they shall fall, they shall be holpen with a little help, but many shall cleave to them with flatteries, and some of them understanding shall fall to try them and to purge them and to make them white even to the time of the end, because it is yet for a appointed time. We talked about this part. I think we were even I think we talked a little bit about verse 39, where it says, "Thus they shall do in the most strongholds with strange gods, whom he shall acknowledge and increase with glory, and shall cause them to rule over many, and shall divide the land for gain." We talked about, I guess, verse 32 or so to 35. That's what I discussed with them. Outside of that, I did not get into, because my thought process, I don't want to give information that I'm not certain of, or at least God hasn't shown me, hey, this is it. And then I went into chapter 12. So that's how I did it. I know your expertise. That's why I kind of held off, and I'm glad that we were able to do this because of this chapter. I mean, I went and I looked at some theologians, but you gotta be careful who you look at. But I wanted to make sure that I had a personal understanding as far as God has opened and showed to me.
So what I'm going to say is this, before I even start with 11, I really want you to understand something. So it's understanding that 11 does not stand by itself. Think of 11 like the middle. So it's like a 3-act structure in writing. So we have 10, 11, and 12 is actually connected unit. You can't separate it because it's a continuation.
Okay.
Even more so, although 10 has some ties to 9, it's not like the same thread per se. There is some difference. And why I say that is, so let's think of it this. 10 would be considered like the introduction, the beginning.
Okay.
Then 11, chapter 11 is like the main content of the story.
Okay.
And then chapter 12 would be the conclusion. And just thinking of storytelling, you're going to use the idea of storytelling, that with that in mind, then you would say that chapter 9 would be like the prologue of the story. A prologue of the story is something that happens before the introduction. It's something that precipitates it. And so that's where you have the connection, where we talked about the connection with 9 and 10 previously. I don't know if we did it enough for you to understand. But so it's more like saying that, okay, so the prologue is a connection with the introduction. And it has the context of chapter 6. So the context of chapter 6 of Daniel is, this is Daniel in the lion's den. And chapter 9 happens during this reign of Darius. And so that's why it's kind of a unit. So where you may have said that Daniel, in terms of the way it's written structurally, that it is written with more obvious historical telling of the first 6 chapters. And then the last 6 chapters is more of the prophecy part.
Correct.
Although the first 6 chapters are prophetic. There is still prophecy. It's just rooted in actual historical facts.
Right.
In like that has happened in the present moment of this character, of this person, Daniel. So in his present life, this is unfolding. And his life is mirroring the lives that people of God are going to experience. Okay, just like the book of Genesis, the entire book of Genesis is really our journey on earth, our experience with God from the beginning to entering the promised land, which is heaven. So the heavenly Canaan, we say.
Right.
Or the mountain of God. And then what you would say that the other chapters previous to chapter 9 and chapter 6, you would call them like the background of it.
Okay.
So the background of these things. So since we talk 10, 11, and 12, we'll call it like the 5th vision. That is really the 5th vision. All right. So the previous visions are Daniel chapter 2,
Correct.
which is the image.
Correct.
All right. That's the bones, we said, the skeleton, the content, if you will, in the book, right? That's the one that tells you what's the content of this book. This is what it is. That's what the image is, really. So they're saying 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, right? So it's head, chest and arms, thighs, legs, feet, stone, mountain.
Correct.
Okay, so all of that is kind of like what the contents would be. And then now you're going to, and every part now in the book, in the story is going to expand on this. And so, in other words, the background part would be like the head. So Daniel chapters 1 to 4 takes place in the head. And it takes place for Daniel chapter 7, it takes place in the lion with the eagle's wings. So the lion with the eagle's wings is of chapter 7 is the head of gold in chapter 2. It's the same time period. So which is Daniel chapters 1, 2, 3, and 4. And also actually up to 8. minus 6. So it's not in chronological order. So let me do this. You can write this down if you want to think about chronology. So think of this as this. So Nebuchadnezzar's reign is Daniel 1, 2, 3, and 4.
You said Nebuchadnezzar's what?
Reign, his rulership when he was king.
Okay, I'm with you. His reign.
And then 3 books, which is Daniel, and this is the order, okay, chronology. Daniel chapter 7, Daniel chapter 8, and then Daniel chapter 5. That's in chronology. And Daniel 7, 8, and 5 is during the reign.
For me, Sister Eden, slow down. Let me make sure I heard you right. So if I repeat it to the audience, I got it. You said Daniel chapter 7, 8, and 5 in terms of chronology?
Correct. So that's the order of events.
Okay, because 5 is hinging on the transition between Belteshazzar and Medo-Persia.
Correct.
All right. Okay.
And Daniel chapter 7 happens in the first year of Belshazzar. Daniel chapter 8 happens in the third year of Belshazzar. And Daniel chapter 5 is the end of his reign.
Correct.
So those chapters 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 7, 8 is during the reign of Babylon, which is the head.
Okay.
And the lion with the eagle's wings.
Correct.
Okay. And then we have Darius's reign, Darius the Mede, which is Daniel chapter 6 and Daniel chapter 9. Well, really, Daniel chapter 5, the last verse there where they mention his name that he took over, and into chapter 6. And then Daniel chapter 9. So that is the Mede part of the Medo-Persian Empire. And then Daniel 9, 10, 11, and 12 is during the reign of Cyrus. Although Gabriel does have a callback.
Say it again. Daniel during the reign of Cyrus.
Daniel 9 to 12 is during Cyrus the First, Cyrus the Great.
Okay.
The Persian, the Persian with Mede blood. His grandfather was a Mede, so that's why he also had a right to the Mede throne, the Median throne, because his grandfather was a Mede.
I think I should have gone back and look. I probably need to go back and look at some of the videos that I posted, just to make sure I stay on track. But go ahead. I'm following you.
Yeah.
I'm tracking.
Yeah, I just I mention these things only because you kind of need to remember certain things in order for you to really understand fully 10, 11, and 12. And that's why I had to do a throwback. Since this is like this is the conclusion of the book of Daniel.
Correct.
It's always important to kind of summarize what has happened already before you conclude.
Okay.
So that's why I said that. So that was like a sidebar, really, in terms of telling you the chronology or the chronological events of the book of Daniel. Just so you know, just so you understand that Daniel didn't just live his life and then all of a sudden he had a period of time where he was just in vision all the time. That's not what's going on. It's like as he's living, he's having visions during all the different reigns of these kings.
I'm following you. I'm just writing something down.
Yeah. So in every one, you see that he has a vision during every reign. So during Nebuchadnezzar's reign, he has the vision, Daniel chapter 2.
Right.
During Belshazzar, he has 7 and 8. During Darius, he has 9. And then during Cyrus, he has the one vision, which is 10 to 11, 10 to 12 is one vision.